Hey, Shalom Shalom Mishpocha. Welcome to another edition of Ray Bash's Ramblings. I'm your host, Rabbi Yehuda ben Shomer, and the title of this video is From Bondage to Bondage. I guess you could say this is the part 2 of So Why the Torah. If you think about it from a sheerly, purely logical standpoint, the majority of the Christian view regarding the Torah, especially connected to the Exodus from Egypt, would basically make Christians believe that the God of Israel is some sort of sadistic God. This may shock a lot of people. I probably ruffled a lot of feathers, and immediately a lot of people are offended at what I just said, but hear me out. The Exodus from Egypt was deliverance, was freedom from the slavery and from the bondage of Egypt. These people were oppressed and hard-pressed by the Egyptian slavery and the Egyptian laws that were placed upon them. So tell me this, why in the world would God deliver Israel from the bondage of Egypt just to take them out into the desert, into the wilderness, to put them in a totally another form of bondage and slavery? Well, a lot of Christians will say, well, Rabbi Yehuda, I don't get what you're saying. You know, God delivered Israel from Egypt. He didn't bring them into another bondage. Well, if you're saying that the law is a bondage, then you're saying that God took Israel out of the bondage of Egypt just to put them into another form of bondage, a spiritual bondage of the law. Because most Christians say the law has been done away with. The law, there is no more law. It's all grace now. The law has been laid aside, it's been nailed to the cross, and we're free and delivered from the law. We don't have to keep it anymore because He kept it for us. And so basically you're saying, if you believe that the law, that the Torah, that the 613 commandments that God gave Israel at Mount Sinai, if you're saying that the law is a bondage, and it's a form and a type of slavery, then basically what you're saying is God, the loving God of Israel, took Israel out of Egyptian bondage, put them into the desert, into the wilderness, just to enslave them in a spiritual form of bondage you call the law. That makes God sadistic. It doesn't make Him loving, it doesn't make Him caring, it makes Him sadistic. And you're saying, well, no, these laws were just temporary because they had to get started as a nation and it was for purposes of discipline and organization and get them... No. You're not reading the Torah right. You have not read the 5 books of Moses. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Because if you did, you will know that it says in there that basically, in so many words, I'm paraphrasing here, but God told Moses, this law, this Torah, these instructions that I'm giving you, it is your life. It is your very life. And all throughout the scriptures, we see a positive spin on the law, on the Torah, on God's instructions. Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, said that, basically, philosophers ask, well, what is the meaning of life? Basically, Solomon, a philosopher himself, answered that for us. He said, this is the conclusion of the matter. That basically the meaning of life is to fear God and to keep His commandments. Fear God and keep His Torah. It wasn't until the Brit Hadesha was translated into Greek and you had these Gentile, anti-Torah, anti-Nomian translators translating their own bias, whether they knew it or not, into the Brit Hadesha, the renewed covenant scriptures. And so Torah took on a negative spin within books such as Romans and Galatians and Hebrews, the letters of Rav Shaul, Paul. And I have a video series on Rav Shaul to prove that he was pro-Torah, not anti-Torah, and people have translated and have taken his words and scriptures, the letters he wrote, in the wrong way. Anyway, another discussion for another time. But basically, the book of Yaakov, James, is a very pro-Torah letter, a very pro-Torah book. And Yaakov, James, is the half-brother of Yeshua, and he was the leader of the Messianic Sanhedrin, of the Netzari Sanhedrin of his day. And so the Torah is basically God's instruction manual, God's instruction books. And as I said in Matthew chapter 5, Yeshua Moshiach himself said, I have not come to do away with the law or the Torah or the prophets. I've not come to do away with them, but I've come to bring them into their full and complete meaning. And so the Torah is a very positive thing. The Torah is not a bondage. You know, grace does not replace the law, the Torah. Grace has always been just as the Torah has always been. They go hand in hand. They look as if they're juxtaposed and opposing forces and opposites, but in reality, they go together like peanut butter and jelly, like peanut butter and chocolate of a Reese cup. They complement one another. It's almost the yin and the yang, if you will. They work together hand in hand. And basically, if you're saying that Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, God is the king of this universe, if he's king, then logic dictates once again that if there's a king, there must be a kingdom. And if there's a kingdom, there must be kingdom law to keep this kingdom in subjection and in order. Well, indeed, there is a kingdom law. The kingdom law is the Torah. It's God's instructions. It's the 613 mitzvot. That's what it's all about, folks. So Yeshua didn't come to do away with the law, and God did not take Israel out of the bondage of Egypt just to put them in another bondage called the law. It makes no sense. It's illogical, and if you believe that, basically what you're saying, whether you would want to admit it or not, is that God is a sadistic God, that the God of Israel is sadistic. He's a sadist. He loves to see the suffering of other people because he takes them out of the bondage of Egypt, one bondage, just to put them into another form of bondage called the law. And, you know, he likes to see them suffer physically, but once he got tired of watching them suffer physically through Egyptian bondage, he decided to take them out and oppress them spiritually, and he gave them the Torah, the law. And so that's their spiritual oppression. They deserve it for all their sins. Oh, please, Chas v'shalom, God forbid. That is just totally absurd and ridiculous. Because, like I said, if you read the Torah is God's instruction manuals on how to live holy, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And that's what it's about, folks. And like I said, he told Moshe, he said, this Torah that I'm giving to you, it is your life. It is your life. And, you know, Torah. The word for Torah in the Hebrew is also used by an idiom. There's an idiom called Chumash. Chumash is the Hebrew word for the number 5. And so why is the Torah sometimes called the Chumash? Because it's made up of 5 books. That's why it's called the Chumash. And Chumash is the Hebrew word for the number 5. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Now, you have Chet, Mem, and Shin, which make up the word Chumash. Now, if you take those 3 letters and switch them around in Hebrew, you get Mem, Shin, Chet, which spells the Hebrew word Moshiach, or as we say in English, Messiah. You take those letters and you twist them and spin them around again, and you've got Shin, Mem, Chet, which spells the word Simcha, which is the Hebrew word for joy. So basically, if you have the Torah, you not only have the Messiah, but you have joy. Torah and Messiah equals Simcha. Chumash plus Moshiach equals Simcha. Torah plus Messiah equals joy. You want to know how to have true freedom and true joy in your life? You have the Torah and you have Messiah. You have the Torah, then you have the Messiah to show you how to walk the Torah correctly. Then you will have true joy. So indeed, God, the God of Israel, took Israel out of Egyptian bondage and slavery and did not put them in the desert to place them in another form of bondage called the law. He gave the law so that Israel would have freedom. Rav Shul says that everything needs to be done in decency and in order. And the law, the Torah, is order. It orders our lives physically, what we eat, what we wear, mentally, how we are to perceive and treat one another, and spiritually, how we are to commune with God. It's the total package. It's the complete package. And how do we Jews look at the Torah? Do we see it as a bondage? No. Do we see it as law? No, not really, not necessarily. We see the Torah as a ketuvah, as a marriage contract, where God wrote this Torah out and basically says, these are my vows to you. Will you keep them? These are the marital vows between you and I. Will you keep them? And at Sinai, we, along with the mixed multitude, says, yes, I do. God says, will you? And we say, I do. And therefore, we become the bride of God, the bride of Mashiach, and he becomes our husband. So the law is God's love letter, God's marital contract to us. And so the prayer Siddur, in turn, is our love letter to God. God gave us the Torah. He gave us the scriptures. and it's kind of like a love letter, a marital contract. Well, we in turn said, well, we want to return this favor, so we wrote the prayer book, the prayer siddur. The prayer that the Jews pray, what we pray daily, is like our expression of love, our love letter to Him. That we pray every day, and morning, noon, and night we have these special prayers that we pray, and we pray them from our heart, because the rabbis and sages of blessed memory, peace be upon them, said, don't turn the pages of the prayer siddur, let the prayer siddur pages turn you. And once you let those words turn you, you will yearn in your heart for a deeper and more intimate relationship with the one true God of the universe, with the God of Israel. So the Torah is not a bondage, the Torah is freedom. It is freedom. What makes the United States a free country? You know, it's a free country. We call the Western world the free world. What makes the Western world a free world? What makes America a free country? It's the laws. It's the laws that make them free. That's why it's called a free country, because you have the pursuit of justice and happiness and all those credos built into the Declaration of Independence and what have you. But it's the laws. The laws keep you from getting, the laws protect you. And if the laws are followed and the laws are enforced, it protects people from anarchy, from getting stolen from getting maimed and murdered and raped and stolen from and cheated on. It creates an environment to where peace and harmony and unity and happiness can abound. So actually, law is freedom. Law is not a bondage. The law is freedom. So that's why the United States is called a free country. It's because of the laws that were set in place to make that country free. Free from oppression, free from anarchy, free from communism, free from dictatorships. And so the Torah, in like manner, is our freedom. It's our physical, mental, and spiritual freedom. It's our life's blood, as basically God said to Moses. So the Torah is not a bondage, as most Christians perceive it. So I pray and I hope that watching this video that your view of the law, your view of the Torah, your view of the 613 commandments has been challenged and changed by this video. Again, God didn't take Israel out of bondage from Egypt just to place them into another bondage in the wilderness called the Torah or the law. No, the law is the freedom. Thanks for watching. Shalom and Shavua Tov.